Chapter 3. The new man was persistent and forceful. My hands that were tied behind my back were pressured by the man pushing me onward. I tripped twice, and each time was roughly picked up and ushered forward. I could feel how quickly we moved by the amount of air that breezed by every naked part of my body. I began to hear clapping and cheering. It got louder as I was pushed through yet another door. I heard whistling. I think people were also saying words as well, but I couldn't make them out. I felt a force of pressure behind my knees, and I crippled onto them. I winced in pain. The blindfold was taken off my head, and I saw everyone in front of me. Men and women were all sitting at tables with drinks. There were tables with loud, drunken men, shouting women, all ogling my body. This couldn't be happening. I looked down at the ground, and someone began to speak. "This fine young specimen is Karen, a virgin body." I turned to look where the voice had come from. There was another man standing at a podium. There was more cheering, probably at the fact that I was a virgin. "She just recently became of age, and this lovely brown hair of hers," he said, walking towards me and flipping the ends of my hair, "is so soft to the touch. I bet if you cut it all off, it would make a great whip," the man said. He promptly smacked me at the butt. I made a sound that no one could hear because of the ball and tape in my mouth. "It also appears she really doesn't know anything, and even today may have experienced her very first orgasm. She would be the perfect start to a new submissive. I think we should start the bid at $1,500. I looked up scared. Maybe if I was lucky, no one would bet. But I saw white papers with black numbers raised into the air. The first was at a far side of the room. A group of drunks proudly raised their number. On the other side, a group of women raised their hand and shouted out $2,000. The bids continued to raise. I was frightened out of my mind. I wanted to cry, but I knew the more I cried, I wouldn't be able to breathe easily. The bids went back and forth between drunks and women who all saw me as candy. I wasn't a lesbian. I didn't do things with women. I didn't want to be with them and the group of drunks. They were all looking at me like one would look at a dog in a dog fight. "Table number 5 has the highest bid with $7,500. Does anyone else want to go any higher?" "Lord, please," I tried to say through the ball and tape. Pleadingly, I looked forward. There, in the front row, a man with masculine features and short hair in a black suit stood and just looked at me. He looked sensible. He at least seemed more dignified than the rest. My eyes locked with his. The only thing on my mind, I didn't care how sensible he looked. He would probably treat me better than what the drunk table would. "Please," I said with my eyes again, hoping this man could hear my silent plea. He was at a table by himself and one other. He started to whisper to the other man in a black suit. "Going once, going twice, so $15,000. I looked up. It was him. Thank God it was him. He heard my plea. "This gentleman just bid $15,000. Would anyone like to top that?" There was a chatter amongst the tables. "Going once, going twice, sold." I felt a sigh of relief in my stomach, but it should never have been a sigh of relief. I had been sold to someone for their pleasure. I would probably die. I would never see my parents again. I wouldn't see my friends. I wouldn't even get to go to college. I would probably be forced to have sex every day. I never wanted to have sex. I wanted to stay a virgin for the rest of my life. I could do so many things while still a virgin. Mr. Wells, please come up to the stage and collect your new slave. The man at the table stood. He stood up and walked up the stairs onto the stage and stood in front of me. The man from the podium handed him the paper that had my information on it. The man who was Mr. Wells handed the man at the podium a wad of cash. This guy must be rich. He walked over to me and took his jacket off. He reached into his pocket, came behind me, and the zip tie that held my hands together were let loose. I pulled my hands to my stomach, caressing the sore wrists. The ribbons had fallen off with the harsh movements on my way here. He draped his large jacket over me, and then finally he stood in front of me. He pushed my hair back. "You really do have beautiful hair," he said. "It would look marvelous shorter, though." His comment was mischievous. It was almost scary. "Now, do not make a word. I'm going to take this off. We are going to leave this place. I will take you home. But if I hear any pleads or screaming for help, I will make sure to gag you harder than what is in your mouth, and I will go straight to punishing you," he said. I nodded shyly. I reached my hands through the coat arms and covered my naked self. Mr. Wells reached for my mouth and removed the tape and the ball. I could breathe through my mouth once more. I took a gasp of air, finally being able to take a full breath again. "It's going to be okay now. Don't worry," Mr. Wells said while carefully and gently picking me up and carried me down the stairs and out a door into a quiet hallway away from the horror. "Miles, I want you to go get the car, and I want you to get the suitcase. I want to dress her first. After you've done that, I want you to start working on cover stories for the missing Karen Oakley. I don't want anyone to know she was here or with me." For a moment, I thought I might have had a chance at freedom. I thought that maybe this man would return me home. "From now on, you are mine. The more cooperative you are, the sooner you can see your friends and family again. We will discuss how that will happen later. From this point, you will only call me Mr. Wells or Sir, nothing else." The moment passed. "Yes, sir," I said quietly, thinking it was the most appropriate choice of words. "Now, I will take you to my home, and I will sit you in a large bath. You will feel tired, and then you will sleep." "But I already had a bath," I said shyly. "Oh, but this bath will be much more comforting," he replied. I wanted to reply again, but Mr. Wells was so warm. "Mr. Wells, here are the clothes." The man that Mr. Wells had sent came back and with a small suitcase. I was sat down on the ground. "I will let you pick," he said. I looked at him and then back at the suitcase. While covering up as much of my body with the coat as I could, I crawled over to the suitcase and unzipped it. Inside the suitcase was underwear. It wasn't even particularly sexy underwear. They were cute, but everything was cotton. On top of that, I only saw sports bras, sweats, and cotton t-shirts. I scrambled to put the underwear on, searching through to find the sizes that would fit me. I found a sports bra, and I covered my boobs to put it on when I took the jacket off. I put on the black pair of sweats and an oversized t-shirt. Socks! I put the fuzzy socks I found on, too. My feet were warm again. "Mr. Wells, sir, may I keep using your jacket? I'm still very cold," I said sheepishly. He nodded. I slid his jacket back on and tried to stand up. I wobbled and was going to be unsuccessful until he grabbed hold of me. It's all right. I will help you. Today was traumatic. Your body is responding. I will carry you, he said. He picked me up once more and embraced me. I felt warm being fully clothed again. We are good to go out back. The car is waiting for us, and the coast is